Good morning, everyone, and welcome to part 22 of building Uncle Dorkel. Since the last video, I was about to apply this bracket. I inadvertently called it a bolt, but of course it's not a bolt. It's just an L bracket with a piece of this tubing flattened out and slid over the end of the L bracket. So what happens is now he's got a good surface to ride on underneath, and there's no further lifting at this back area here. Also, I put the hook in the bottom that I showed you earlier in one of the other videos. Now the next step is to put the base plate in with the hook going up. There's going to be a shorter hook here because we want some kind of a some kind of length here. We want a couple of inches at least for the heavy rubber band or spring or whatever we're going to put in here. Now, as you can see now, this is pretty stable and it does move, but that movement is primarily the silicone and the masking tape, so we don't want too much movement, so the support down here is really going to hold it. The first thing we're going to do before we make the arms, and here's what we're going to do with the arms before we get started. This 1.25 inch outside diameter PVC pipe will be the upper arm, and these are going to be the lower arm. There'll be a V sort of, or semicircle cut in here, and these bolts will go through to make the elbow, so it'll hinge like this. So this will make two upper arms because I cut this in half. This will make two lower arms, and this will probably be a little longer, and they'll start to shorten them. But before I even do that, we got to make the bottom hook area here so we get some more stability here. So we're going to go ahead and make this, and like I said before, we're going to use a piece of this board here. We're going to drill it and put the eye bolt, which I got to go out and get out of the miscellaneous hardware box, and mount it up in here. We're not using a cup hook, we're using these big eye bolts, and we'll just cut them off like I did this one with the bolt cutter. We'll come back on this video when we're ready to do that. Here's what I'm going to do. I got a piece of fiberboard. We can't rely on the cardboard for strength or anything like this. So what I did is I just marked, there's a hole in here, but that's alright. This is one of these cheap entertainment center stuff, so I save everything. But anyways, this is the particle board like this here. We're going to use this. We did not want to use a screw-in type because this is not heavy enough, and I didn't feel like putting a big heavy 2x6 or something in there to anchor this, so we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to drill through, mount this, and put a nut and a washer on the back. Before I do that, I've got to get it centered where I'm going to have it. So this is where the rubber band goes, and we're going to mount this like this. But before we do this, we got to modify it like we did this, because you can't get a rubber band in here. We got to take the bolt cutters and cut this off. We'll come back on the video when I get the bolt cutter. All right, here's what I'm going to do, and just like I did with this one. We're going to cut off. We're going to cut off this part of it so we can get a rubber band in there. Okay. Now we should get our needle nose because we're in the shed right now. All right. Here's what we did. Now we're going to file this because it's very sharp. So this will enable me to get that in there. Now I could have used a cup hook, which I've got in here, but there again they screw into surface, and these aren't always that good. This might be metal under here, but I needed a smaller and a stronger hook. So when I get this mounted in here, drilled in, and the nut and the washer on from underneath, then I'll take the bolt cutter and I'll trim this off so it'll be flush. So this This is going to be the support, and then I'll just simply glue this right down into place. This bolt will sit down like about here, so I'll eliminate all this thread here. So then we've got roughly, I would say we do have about 2.5 to 3 inches of rubber band, and that's what I want. If the rubber bands don't work, I'll use a spring. Okay, here's what I did. We got the eye cut out so that we can get the rubber band in there. We got it smoothed out with the file. And we're going to mount this in here. Before I do that, I got to cut this off. I got to cut this off because the cardboard isn't going to offer any support at all. So I'm going to cut it right off flush with the nut. Then I'm going to cut a little hole with the, just take a knife or something and cut a little hole or screwdriver in here so that this nut will recess in there. I'll glue this all back in. I got this marked because this is the hole I told you about that was already in here. It's marked here, so that's why I got to keep it centered. And so the rubber band will go between here and here. And this, oh boy, I hooked it. Damn! I couldn't have done that if I tried. We'll come back on this video in a little bit. Okay. Nothing fancy here. We just support this with the masking tape, and that will hold it in until the glue dries. Then I can put the rubber band in. I think we got enough glue on there. So here's what we're going to do. If I don't get this thing hooked again, get this up and around. And on the guide mark. Alright, still up in the air. What I could do, put a couple of screws from the bottom on up through the cardboard and into this, nuts and bolts. We're going to tape it first and see how it's not going to sit flat though. Well, I have to do like we did here with the screws and the nuts. Now, we'll see. We'll see. Because masking tape will hold it in place, but it won't hold it down. Or else I put some weight in it, and there goes another day of not getting anything done. Anything I hate is hold-ups on these projects. I'll probably still put a couple of screws and nuts and bolts underneath. We'll do that off camera when the time comes. In addition to the holding it in place, the tape also keeps the glue from running in case I turn this, on its side or on laying it on the front or so forth. I won't have glue running all over the inside of the box here. Alright, what I did is a couple of small bolts in here, the washers sunk into the cardboard so it'll be flush out here. And what that'll do, it'll, between that and the glue, this thing sets up, it'll be really strong. So there'll be a pulling action with the strong rubber band, and we didn't want to, we needed the support here because it wasn't sitting down. Now I could have put this bolt right through the cardboard, but like I said before, the cardboard itself would not offer any strength. This is what's offering the strength here. Unless I put a piece of wood on the bottom here and then did it that way. But this is better because then the bottom is flush. Then you don't have this big bolt sticking out at the bottom here. These are pushed in, so there's no problem. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get elastic band and put it from here to here to stabilize this. And then I'm going to start working on the arms. Now Tommy will probably be back out here running the camera. So we're going to commence to putting the rubber band in here. We'll come back on the video in a little while. Alright, if you take a look down here, we got two rubber bands on here. One is doubled over and the other one isn't. Because if one breaks, we got the extra one there. So two of them doubled over is a little too tight. But you can see how that is now. This will enable his head to move a little without getting all out of control, and we can still turn him. So, and if you look, I'm going to try to lay him down without breaking his nose here. This is not easy. But lay him down here. If you look in here, make sure we're in focus. This is the piece that I put in so that when his head turns, see, it rides against this Teflon tube here, in addition to these two washers. So that's how we got it. Okay, the next step is we're going to make the arms. Alright, we're going to try to make some arms. Now the body height is 19 inches from here to here. He's not going to, as I mentioned before, he's not going to have an ass or any legs. Well, the hands are supposed to overhang the body anyways. But he's not going to be able to do that because there's nothing for his arms to rest on. He can't rest them on legs. He hasn't got any legs. He can't even sit on them because he hasn't got any ass. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make the upper arm 8 inches. We'll make the lower arm 8 inches. So that'll be a 16-inch arm. And then we put the hand. The hand is probably going to be just a glove. Nothing fancy. We'll just have a glove and something. It's easier than trying to make a hand out of paper, clay and all that. I'm not going to get into that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the upper arm. So we're going to cut this now. We'll come back on when we get it cut. Okay. Alright, here's the upper arm, here's the lower arm. Now, I'm going to make an elbow. So I'm going to cut out approximately the width of this. I just drew this roughly. To cut out one side only of this. So that this will hinge down and become an elbow. Now, if there's a problem with this going down and it binds up in here, I may have to cut this side. I won't know that until I cut this, see how it is. Or I might be able to 45 this piece so that it doesn't bind in there trying to go down. Because I need enough room to put a bolt through here and here in order to make the elbow. And it only needs to really go up like on a 90. It doesn't have to go all the way up like a regular elbow on a human. But I want it to be able to go out and up like this, at least anyways. So we're going to do that now, and we'll get back on the video when I get this cut. Alright, here's the elbow joint. This is the back of it. It bends better this way. As you can see, I had to do a lot of filing and a lot of cutting. I had to cut both the front and the back in order to have it swing. It was easier to cut it that way, and the hardest part was the width here. I had to really do a lot of filing and then flatten out the two sides of the lower part of the arm. So this will go on like this. There'll be an elbow joint, shoulder joint rather, right up here. Which will be the 3-inch bolts that I got sitting over there, and there'll be a little shim to keep it away from the body just a little bit. I have to be able to keep it away from the body. I'm not too worried about padding this side here because the arm is going to be here anyhow, so I don't probably need to even worry about that, but we'll see what happens, because with the arm is going to have a shirt over it and a jacket probably on top of that. Now I'm thinking too of maybe making some kind of a mechanical work here, maybe. I don't know if it'll work out or not, with perhaps a small eye bolt here a cord running down, maybe another eye bolt here, and further run up to here and into the body to pull this arm up. But I don't know if that'll work. If not, they'll just be like every other ventriloquist dummy. They have to be lifted by the ventriloquists themselves, and that's not the way I want it. I want at least one arm to move here. It'll probably be the right one, but we got a ways to go yet. I got to cut up the other one here and make the same thing as I did here. So we'll come back on the video when I get both these arms made up and working the way I want them, and then we'll mount them. Alright, try a bolt in here. Let's see, one way it's going to work easier, the other way it's going to bind. Yeah, we'll try it. We'll just put the bolt in. If I can get it in. Alright, that works easier than the other one. Alright, we'll just temporarily put a washer in here. And a nut. They don't give you the washers with them, but they do give you the nuts, and hopefully it'll work, because I've had one nut that would not start on this. Okay. Alright. Now, I don't have to mark like I did with the other one. I don't have to mark the back because they both work evenly. You don't need to have the arm come up any more than like this. So it'll go on the side of the body like this. So we'll come back on this video when I'm ready to mount these to the body and to get these secured in here properly. Okay. I can't find my ball peen hammer. Story of my life. It's in my toolbox somewhere and I can't find anything. We got to peen this over. There's a flat piece of steel that this probably was a piece of steel my dad had when he used to, you know, have in his workshop. We're going to peen this over so we don't, this nut won't come off. I just cut this off with a bolt cutter, but we're going to just peen it. We should have a ball peen for this, but we'll just peen it. And the reason for that is the nut will not unwind off of that. I have a couple of ball peen hammers. I can't find the damn things. They're in my bodywork toolbox, and that's buried in the back of the shed. Alright, that won't. I don't think that'll come off. Because this is going to be all covered up with fabric. So if it comes apart, I'm in trouble. I don't think it will, though. A lot of times I'll put silicone on this, but I don't need to. That's fine. Okay. Alright, now we're going to do the other one the same way. We got to cut this off first. Snug it up hand tight. And this binds this way. It's a little better this way. This still binds a little. This is a little more stiffness in it. And that's why I marked this in the back here, because it's going to move this way. It doesn't like moving. It's really tight here. So this will probably be on the left side, because the right arm I want to be able to get some kind of mechanism and make it move. So we'll use that for the right arm. We'll use this for the left. We're going to cut this off now. okay. Well, kind of looks crappy, look, doesn't it? Now, I'm going to have to brace this up. I've got a big washer on the inside of this, as you may see in there. But it's only into cardboard, so there's a lot of flexing here, and I don't want this to get bent and knocked out of shape. Now, I'm not planning on having this arm move from the inside. I don't know about the right arm, but this binds in here, so this is not a good arm to be using for trying to control it from inside. About the only thing I could probably do is to make a move like this, but as far as lifting up the lower arm, I don't know. But we're not going to, this is going to be a dead arm. This isn't going to really do anything but other than move, but we're going to have to put a piece of wood in here, like I did here, to reinforce it when I put this arm in. So this one moves very well. So this will be the active arm. This will be the handshake arm. I'd like to be able to get this thing so he could give you a handshake or flip you off or whatever. Okay, I put a piece of this press board in here, and then the washer's on there. And what that'll do is give a very rigid shoulder. And these are just spacers that I made up out of some 1-inch dowel. Well, the holes in the center, doesn't matter. I didn't use the drill press, I just did it by eye. You can tell I did it by eye. Anyways, we're going to mount this one, but what I want to try to do, see if I can take some of these small eye hooks, put them in here, and see if I can get some kind of a cabling to run, to make this arm lift. I don't know if I'll be able to or not, but I'm going to experiment with that. Anyways, I'm going to try to put one of them eyelets here and another one here and see if I can have a pull string that can lift this arm up. And if I can make it work from inside. I don't know if I can do that or not. If not, it'll just be, maybe I'll just have it so that the arm will move like this. In other words, lift up, but that's about it. We got the arms mounted, and we put the reinforcement fiberboard like we got here on the inside. We glued it in and everything. So the arms are good, pretty rigid. But here, I'm going to try something. I'm going to have a string. I'm going to temporarily put a rope, small string into here, fasten it on the lower arm, so see if I can pull it from the inside and see if it'll make it lift the arm up. But it'll probably just do this number. It won't be able to do this because I would have to change this whole shoulder here and make some kind of a knob to turn this whole thing. In other words, instead of the way I got it here, because all I got is a bolt going through on the inside here, which you could probably see in there, and a washer with that reinforcement particle board. She's coming along pretty good. This is all going to be covered up with either a coat or a flannel shirt or something, and there'll be padding in here. But I'm experimenting with this. If this don't work out, I can just take these eye bolts out and just have the arms just hang by the sides, and that's it. But we're going to see. This is just a test right now. This is temporary. These aren't, but this is. Controlling this from inside, well, he'd be able to do one of these numbers, or he could say hello, but he's not going to be able to lift his arm up like this because it's going to take two controls. One to turn the shoulder, which I'd have to change this mechanism here, and one to operate the string here. But this is working out pretty good. Of course, we don't know how strong this is going to be when the coat or whatever he's going to be wearing is on here. And of course, it has to fit loose so it doesn't bind into this. So what he'll probably has, if he has a coat, a light jacket, he's only going to have the t-shirt to hold the padding in around different areas like up here, and the coat will just cover up the arm and all the mechanism in here. So this is how it is, and it's nothing more than just the string pulling in here, and this is only a test. So this concludes the video right now. We'll come back on this video either in this part or in the next part of building Uncle Dorkel.